let me tell you something that might stop you mid-scroll. Because this one's for the people who've been told their whole lives that they feel too much. If you cry during arguments, at the end of movies, when someone else is hurting, or sometimes for reasons you can't even explain, this is for you. Not to comfort you, but to show you the science of what's actually happening inside your mind. Here's where we start. Humans are the only creatures on Earth that cry emotional tears. Not pain tears, not reflex tears from smoke or wind, but tears triggered by feeling. No other species does this. Evolution kept it. That means it serves a purpose, a powerful one. So the first thing I need you to understand is this. You were not built wrong. Your emotional system is not malfunctioning. It's running exactly the program nature wrote for it. Psychologists have identified 3 things that separate people who cry easily from those who don't, and none of them are what most people expect. The first is deeper emotional processing. When you cry easily, your brain, specifically the amygdala and the anterior cingulate cortex, is more sensitive to emotional shifts. You pick up on feelings faster. You register them more intensely. Where someone else sees a situation, you experience it. That's not fragility. That's a finely tuned instrument. The second factor is higher empathy, and this one runs deeper than most people realize. When someone shares pain in a room full of people, some will nod, some will move on, but you feel the weight of it land somewhere in your chest. Your eyes sting. You wonder why you can't just stay composed like everyone else. Here's what's actually happening in that moment. Your brain is doing something extraordinary. It's building an emotional bridge to another human being in real time. You're not just hearing their words, you're running their experience through your own nervous system. Neuroscientists call this mirroring. The rest of us call it connection. And connection is the foundation of trust. Trust is the foundation of influence. Influence is the foundation of leadership. So trace that tear back to its source, and it leads somewhere powerful. The third factor is a more responsive nervous system. Some people are wired with a more active parasympathetic nervous system. When emotions peak, the body uses tears as a pressure valve, a biological reset that lowers stress hormones and brings the system back to balance. Read that again slowly. Crying is not you losing control. Crying is your body restoring control. There's a difference, and it matters. Now, here's the part most people have never been told. Research shows that people who cry easily tend to score higher in authenticity, emotional resilience, and the ability to form meaningful bonds. They also regulate stress more effectively over time, not because they avoid difficult emotions, but because they move through them instead of storing them. People who suppress emotions don't get stronger, they get heavier. But you process and release. That makes you more resilient in the long run, even if the moment feels like the opposite. Think about the people in your life who feel deeply. They're usually the ones who notice when something is off before anyone says a word. They're the ones who check in, who remember, who stay. They change the energy of a room without trying because they're picking up frequencies that others simply don't hear. Those are the people who become the best leaders, the most trusted friends, the most powerful creators. Not because they have it easy, but because they have access to emotional depths that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Here's where this becomes about your growth specifically. Emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and channel emotion, is one of the strongest predictors of real-world success, stronger than IQ, stronger than talent, stronger than technical skill. Study after study confirms this. And if you cry easily, you already have the hardest parts, recognition and depth of feeling. What comes next is simply learning to direct that sensitivity into how you communicate, how you lead, how you make decisions under pressure. The best leaders in history weren't the ones who felt nothing. They were the ones who felt everything and still chose wisely. One more thing worth knowing, because this conversation deserves honesty. Crying easily isn't always emotional in origin. Dehydration, hormonal shifts, chronic stress, sensory overstimulation, and high sensitivity personality traits can all lower your tear threshold. Your body has its own reasons. That doesn't make you broken. It makes you a human with a body that communicates. So here's the reframe I want to leave you with. Maybe the goal was never to become someone who doesn't cry. Maybe the goal was always to become someone who understands why they do and stops being ashamed of it. Your tears mean your heart is still open, your empathy is still alive, your nervous system is still paying attention to the world around you. In a culture that rewards numbness and calls it strength, that makes you quietly radical. Don't apologize for feeling fully. The world has enough people who've learned not to. If this shifted something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you cry easily, tell me about it below. I genuinely want to know your story.